So then mixtures are divided into homogeneous and heterogeneous. Then what is homogeneous mixture means? What do you mean by homogeneous mixture? Yes, anyone? Tanya? Yeah, Tejasvi, fine.
Ma'am, we cannot see the different parts of mixtures which are there in it.
Yeah, the total types of constituent particles cannot be seen easily. The boundaries of separation are not being seen. So that
Ma'am,
means the
which is
particles
written
are...
in blue part, that also we should write.
Yes, you have to.
Okay, ma'am.
The particles are not visible to us, and that happens due to the uniform distribution of these particles, and the particle size is very, very small. So that is the main cause. So the homogeneous mixture is formed because when the solid particles, that is the particles which we dissolve into a mixture, to form a mixture, whatever the solid particles or any of the types of state of matter we dissolve, we mix into the another one. The thing which we mix, that we call as solute, and in which we are mixing it, that is called a solvent. That means solvent is, suppose salt and water example is there. Salt is dissolved into water, then salt is mixed into water, so therefore salt is called a solute and the water is called a solvent. And when both mix together, get dissolved into each other, the formed thing, mixture, is called a solutions.
Ma'am, are all the liquids solvent?
Yes, always, not always. In case of a fog, in that case the water vapors are present in air. That means here the air is the solvent and the water is the solute.
Okay.
So that depends on the conditions, different of states or this examples. So homogeneous mixtures are mixtures which we are not able to see. The constituent particles cannot be seen. They are uniformly mixed. And how are they uniformly mixed? Because the solids are uniformly mixed because the size of the solid particle is very, very, very small. That is less than 1 nanometer. So what is nanometer? Nanometer means 10 to the power minus 9 meters. 10 to the power minus 9 meters. So you can imagine the size. We are not able to see it by naked eyes because the size is too small. You can check out, that is example, if you take a 1 meter scale and try to divide it, means its divisions has been done. Every part should be 1 billionth part. So 1 meters is 1 billionth part is called nanometer. Are you able to imagine? Only 1 centimeter part you have divided into 10 parts in a normal scale. And that each part now divide 1 millionth time, then that is the size called nanometer. The solid particles size is this much small. So they are easily get distributed within the solvent and therefore cannot be seen with our naked eyes or not even under with microscope also sometimes. Okay, so that is called the homogeneous mixture. So examples of homogeneous mixtures.
Ma'am,
What are the
alloys?
alloys are homogeneous mixtures? Okay, then
Salt water.
salt water, fine.
Sugar water.
Sugar water, right?
Salt and sand and water.
And sand and water, sand particles you can't see?
No, ma'am, we can see.
Plastic.
You can see.
Ma'am,
Yes,
lemon
Tanya?
juice.
And air, right? Air is a homogeneous mixture.
Ma'am, soda.
Soda, yes. All aerated drinks are the this one mixtures, homogeneous mixtures.
Ma'am, plastic.
Plastic is a homogeneous mixture. Then
Paper.
paper, okay, paper can be a
Ma'am, vinegar.
vinegar, yes. Acetic acid is completely dissolved in water. Then any other examples?
Ma'am,
Children, if you
all
remember.
soaps and sanitizers.
Soaps and sanitizers. Soap is a compound.
Oh,
Sanitizer, yes.
Lemonade.
Lemonade, yes. Any other example do you remember? Okay, fine. Leave
Ma'am,
it.
honey and milk.
Honey and milk, okay, you're right. Then this one also.
Ma'am, blood.
Blood is not homogeneous. It's actually heterogeneous. And milk is also not homogeneous. It is heterogeneous.
Ma'am, saline.
What is saline means? What do you mean by saline?
Ma'am, it will contain so many chemical that water.
Saline is a salt water. That's it.
Okay.
Seawater is a saline water. Means it consists of many salts. Okay, then heterogeneous mixture. That means constituent particles can be seen easily. They are not evenly distributed. They have been spread here and there, not evenly spread. Somehow they have been spread within the solvent. They are visible to our naked eyes or through the, sometimes also through the microscope there. But here visible through microscope. They are not visible through microscope. This is wrong statement. They are not visible through microscope also. Okay, so here you can see the structures can be seen here. Here you can see. See, this
Ma'am,
is pure.
homogeneous particles are not seen through microscope also.
Yeah, they cannot be seen through microscope also. So they are so small that is we are not able to see. But under ultra microscope, which is used to visualize atoms and molecules, so from them we can. So here you can see this is a heterogeneous mixtures. You can see some of the particles are settled down, some of the particles are sprinkled somewhere. It is suspended, remains suspended. Most of them have been settled, but here they won't settle. They keep suspended. They remain distributed within the substance. So they won't settle down. Here they have been settled down. That is heterogeneous mixture. Okay, so the particles have settled down. That is sand and water. So sand always in a seawater, seabed, you can see when water and sand is moving, get mixed together, but still sand is settling down and the water moves away. Sand will settle on the bank and the water will move away. So that is can be easily separated. They can be separated easily. So heterogeneous mixtures, we are able to see the mixtures clearly visible to us. Constituent particles are clearly visible to us. The boundary of separations can be seen, so that we call as it has more than one phase. It is considered as, in a proper physics, we write this as it consists of more than one phase. Phase, that means when you see the substance, you are able to see the two distinct things. Two or more distinct things can be seen clearly. So therefore we call it as it has two or more phases. But in homogeneous mixtures, we can see everything as a one substance. So therefore it has a one phase. We call it as it has one phase. It's clear? What do you mean by heterogeneous mixture? So can you give the example of heterogeneous mixture?
Ma'am, oil and water.
Oil and water,
Ma'am,
right?
salt and sugar.
Salt and sugar, right?
Sand and water.
Sand and water.
Chalk powder and water.
Chalk powder and water, okay. Then any other?
Ma'am, cement and water.
Soil, cement, yes.
Ma'am, there is one example, the mixture which we eat, the food.
Yeah, this was salads.
Yeah.
Fruit salad, vegetable salad.
Or the mixture only.
And the mixture we eat, yes, right. That is, it consists of many, this one, dry fruits. And this one is there, rice flakes are there. Corn flakes are there in that. It is many things have been mixed and we are able to see them clearly. All the particles can be seen to us clearly. So that is the heterogeneous mixture. Okay, is that clear? What do you mean by heterogeneous mixture means?
Yes, ma'am.
So now here the matter has been divided this way. Now you are able to understand this part, this flow diagram. Matter, first we have to check whether it has a variable composition. If it has no, that means there is no variable composition, that means it has a uniform composition, that means it is called as pure substance. If it has variable composition, that means the composition is not same, then that we call as mixture. Composition means the substance from which that thing, that matter is made up of. If it is same throughout, then it is a pure substance. If it is not same throughout, then it is a mixture. It's clear. Now inside the pure substance, we have to bifurcate. So, can we separate them into the simpler components, or cannot be separated into simpler components? So that means after dividing, if it is get converted into, always it remains same. There is no change in the similar form. We are not able to. It is oxygen, remain oxygen only after dividing also. So therefore that is called as element. When you iron chair, if you keep on breaking, we will get only iron things. So we will not get any other simpler form. So therefore it is called as element. And if they are divided into simpler form, that is a water is separated into hydrogen and oxygen as a simpler form. Carbon dioxide is separated into carbon and oxygen as a simpler form. So those substances are called as compounds, in which the molecules can be broken down into simpler forms, because it is made up of 2 or more substances. Here mixture, that is variable composition. Composition is not same, not uniform, then it is called as mixture. Inside that, if it is remain uniform, that mixture remain uniform. So every spoon of that particular substance, if you take it, if you see everything as a constant value, equal values, then that is called as homogeneous. That means here uniform distribution. If you see the sugar and water, if you mix and test it, every spoon tests are different, or every spoon tests the same?
Ma'am, it tastes the same.
It will, whatever the spoon, how many ever spoon you convert it to that glass is of a lemonade, if you test it with a different spoons, will the different amount of that lemonade taste differently, or it will taste same? Yes, what?
Ma'am, it will taste same.
It will remain same taste everywhere. Means the first sip, or it may be the last sip. The sweetness, sourness remains same. So that means here the particles have uniformly mixed. So therefore that will be seen. Tea also, every sip of the tea has the same taste. It will not change. So that means here the particles of that tea has been mixed uniformly distributed within the mixture. And if that uniform distribution is not seen, then it is called as heterogeneous mixture. Okay. So when you take the mud and water condition, if you take every spoon, if you see, the color is different. At the top, once we keep it undisturbed, the initially at the top portion, you will see the water more, a more amount of water, less amount of mud. But when you take the last part, if you take it, the spoon, if you place it much inside and then take it out, in that the less amount of water and more amount of mud will be seen. So that means the distribution is not uniform. That is heterogeneous mixtures. Now homogeneous and heterogeneous, is the part clear to you?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And the sand settles down because it has more weight.
Yeah, particles are bigger in size. They are not able to get distributed within the water particles, because the size of the sand is much bigger than the size of the water particle.
Okay,
So they
but
could not get the space.
yes, so they settle down.
Yeah, they will settle down, as they are heavier also, because they have been combined together and they are heavier than water molecules.
Okay.
Okay. Now further mixtures further divided into, depending on the size of the constituent particles, mixtures are divided further into solution, suspension and colloids. Solution, suspensions and colloids are the division of mixture, but it depends on the size of the particles. There is a 3 varying size of the solid particles. One in which the size is very small, that is less than 1 nanometer. Second one, it is much bigger, that is more than 100 nanometer. And the third one is in between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. So according to the size of the solid particles, that means a substance which is dissolved into the another substance, not dissolved always, it mixed into the another substance. Depending on the size of that solid particle, we are dividing mixtures into 3 parts. One is called solution, second one is called suspension, and the third one is called as colloids.
Ma'am, should we write this?
This one, no, don't write. This is only for this one. Okay, homogeneous, heterogeneous, you have written, no? Now further, this is the only thing. Or you can write down this much part. This table you can make it. Draw the table.
Ma'am, but your all the information is same as we wrote earlier.
This table, this flow chart.
Yeah.
You have written all the form, this definitions and all those already you have written.
This all is written.
Okay, mixture and compound difference, you remember it, right? Now we have to go through the separation. Don't write down, leave it. So now what are solutions, what are suspensions, and what are colloids? We have to see separately and their properties. Now what do you mean by solutions? So just now what we have discussed about the homogeneous mixtures. So all the homogeneous mixtures are called solutions. Till now you learned that a solution means it has your mindset, that is, it is a anything dissolved into water or any liquid form is a solution, but not always. Every solution cannot be only liquid state. It can be solid, it can be gaseous as well. Air is a solution. It is a gaseous solution. Then it is alloys are the solid solutions. So solutions, till now what you have a mindset, it is not always liquid in form, liquid in state. The solutions can be solid also, solutions can be gaseous also, and solutions can be liquid also. It's depending on the medium in which the solute is dissolved. So that solvent, the solute is dissolved into solvent. So solvent can be liquid, it can be gaseous, or it can be solid also. So solutions are all homogeneous mixtures. But that homogeneous mixture should be prepared from non-reacting substances. The two substances should not react with each other. Otherwise, a chemical reaction will take place and the compound is formed, not the mixture. So mixture, the particle, constituent particles, when they mix thoroughly, physically, there is no chemical reaction takes place between them. So there only the mixing process is happening. And that mixing is a homogeneous, that is uniform distribution is done. The particle size is very, very small. So that's the reason we are not able to see them as a separate components. So all the components so properly, uniformly mixed together, we are not able to see those different substances in that. So those all we call as solutions. So whatever the properties of homogeneous mixtures till now you have learned all of the properties of solutions. Now few more extra property you have to learn from this, for this. Yeah. Any doubt you have?
Ma'am?
Have any doubt?
Yes, ma'am. So water and water and only water. So water is not a solution.
Water is a compound.
It is a compound, but
Yeah.
it is not. It's not called any compound in
Compounds and mixtures are completely different.
any compound in liquid form is not called solution.
No, 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 no. That is the molten state or liquid state we call it as.
Okay.
That we don't call as a solution. Now anything is mixed into water, that is a water as a solvent, then that solutions are called as aqueous solutions. The solutions in which water as a solvent, that solutions we call as aqueous solutions. So remember, aqueous solution, that means the component has been dissolved into water. And here the process of dissolution takes place. So both of them, both the substances, component of the mixture has been completely mixed with each other. So that means they have been dissolved. The substance which is dissolved is called as solute, and the substance in which the solute is dissolved is called as solvent. And both of them mix together uniformly and form only one, look like as a one substance. So therefore we call it as, it has only one phase. One phase, because when you mix salt and water, can you see the two different things in that glass? Only one substance is seen. So that means it shows only one phase. Okay. So solutions are homogeneous mixtures of two or more substances. Constituent particles of the solutions are mixed evenly. that is uniformly throughout. Uniform composition is there. Then boundaries of constituent particles cannot be distinguished. That means we are not able to see the different components. And this is possible because of its size. Size of the particles of solutions is smaller than 1 nanometer. Then solution shows Tyndall effect. I will come back to this point. This is important point. I will explain you. Solute cannot be separated by the filtration or decantation process. The particles of solute are so small that is they can easily pass through filter paper. So therefore the method of filtration cannot be used for separation of the constituent particles in case of solutions. That is water and salt. Can you separate the salt from the water by the filtration process through the filter paper? Can you separate it?
No, ma'am.
No. Why? Why cannot you
Because
separate?
it's mixed thoroughly in it.
Yeah, thoroughly it is mixed. So it is what happened. The solid particles, the salt is divided into so small particles that is size of that particles in which the salt has been divided when it mixed with the water is much smaller than the pores, much smaller than the pores of this one, filter paper. So filter paper has a pores and through that. So filter paper, whichever substances cannot pass through that filter paper pores will be remain on the filter paper. And then the size of the particle, if it is smaller than the whole of the filter paper, then it can be easily passed through. So the particles of the this one in a solution, the solid particles are so smaller in size, it's easily passed through the filter paper. The filter paper pores cannot stop them. So therefore, the solutions cannot be, solid particles cannot be separated by the filtration or decantation process because they do not settle also. And the last property, solutions are stable. Stable means the particles remain suspended throughout this, remain mixed throughout the solvent. When they left undisturbed, they do not settle down. So have you seen lemonade if you keep it for some duration and then the salt or sugar settle down? Have you seen it? When it is
No,
for a
ma'am.
one day, if you have kept it undisturbed and you have seen that is a salt particle or a sugar particles or the lemon juice has been settled down?
No, ma'am.
No. But have you seen in case of buttermilk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
In a buttermilk, if you keep it, 1 glass of a buttermilk, if you keep it for half an hour, much enough, half an hour is enough, then what you will see?
Water will come up.
Water will be at the top and the remaining, the curd will be settled down. So that is called unstable. That nature is called as instability. So the particles are unstable. They immediately settle down. Even in case of mud and water, what you have seen when you mix a soil into water or a sand into water, when you stir it, they remain mixed. But as soon as you keep it undisturbed, what will happen?
The
Ma'am, the
sand
mud.
will settle down.
Sand will settle down, mud will settle down, and the upper part you will see the clear water so that you can decant it. That process is called a sedimentation process. You have learned it. So
Ma'am,
that is instability,
heterogeneous.
heterogeneous mixture. So that means they are heterogeneous. Solutions all are stable. The particles won't settle down when left undisturbed. It's clear? Are these points clear? Solution is clear. What do you mean by solutions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now here,
should
what
you
is that
explain?
Tyndall? Wait. I need to explain Tyndall effect, then you can write it down. Then what do you mean by Tyndall effect? So Tyndall effect, you have heard the word earlier also. Do you remember? Tyndall effect, you have heard the word. You have read it. If I'm not wrong, in the 7th class, last chapter, forest. Forest chapter. Do you remember? Through the canopy of trees.
Ma'am, through the canopy, the sunlight cannot pass.
Can pass. When it is a thin sleet, the sunlight enters. We are able to see the sunlight. The rays of light has been seen. Beam of a light can be seen. So here in a dark room also, in a dark room, if through the one small slit is present and through that if the light is entering, so you are able to see the light. Are you able to see the path of the light?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So that effect is called as Tyndall effect. That means the path of the sunlight or a path of the light is visible to us through some substances. So that is called as Tyndall effect. Now you can see here, diagram I have, I think so diagram, yes, here. You can see these are the three solutions are present. One is transparent here. These are all transparent. This is not transparent. But here when the light is passed, laser beam is passed. In the first one, what are you able to see the light?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Second one,
Yes, ma'am.
you
Yes,
are able
ma'am.
to see the path of the light.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
And in the darker one, in the third one. So that means this is actually, these are this property separates this presence of the light. The path of the light is visible through solutions, through some substances, through mixtures. This visibility is called as Tyndall effect. So that means through the air also, right now we are not able to see the rays of light. We see that light is there, but we are not able to see the rays of light. But in a dark room, if you make a room darker and one small window slit if you keep open, and if the light enters through that, can you see that? You are able to see the path of the light?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So that is called as Tyndall effect. Now how that happens and why that happens? How are we are able to see the path of the light?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, these three solutions, are they all solutions or?
No, this is solution. This is suspension. Middle one is colloid.
So through solution there is no Tyndall effect.
No Tyndall effect. Solutions do not show Tyndall effect. Why not? The path of the light is visible to us. Now to see this path of the light, what should be done? Actually, the light always travel. Light has a property that is it is always travel in a straight line path. And another property, when the light falls on our eyes, then only we are able to see that path. There are two important properties. That is, light is always follows the straight line path. And the second one, any object reflects the light and that reflected light falls on our eyes, then only we are able to see the path of that object clearly. So now here actually the path of the light you are seeing, but you are not actually seeing the light, you are seeing the object present at that position. The particles you are able to see.
All the particles are reflecting light.
Yeah. So here what happened? Now this is particles are reflecting light. So how they are reflecting? Reflection means passing the light into one direction. But that property will not work here. So any object is here, on that light first falls. It will reflect the light by making angle I and angle R. And then if we are here, then only we are able to see that object. If the reflected light won't fall on our eyes, we are not able to see that object clearly. That means anything present on your backside, that part of the light, that part is reflecting light, but that light is not falling on our eyes. Is this clear what I want to tell you? I'm stopping the share now. Okay. So here what happens, you can see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So in this case, what happens when any object which is present on your backside, are you able to see that?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Why?
No, ma'am.
That part is reflecting light?
Ma'am, because the reflected light is not falling on our eyes.
Yes, right. Reflecting light is not falling on our eyes, right? But now here the light we know that is it is always traveling in a straight path. So now you are able to see the light because there are many particles are present. The path of the light is visible to us. Here in this case, Tyndall effect what shows that is the dust particles. Dust particles are there. The light falls on the dust particles and dust particles are reflecting light. But that reflection will not be the actual, we don't call it as a reflection, that we call as scattering. That we call as scattering, because in a reflection what happens, the light will travel in a one path only. So light falls on my this one body and then it is reflecting in this direction, only one direction. But in scattering what happens, when the light falls on any small object, the bigger object reflects the light, but the smaller object what they do, smaller atoms or particles or a dust particles are there, which are very small in size. So those particles don't only reflect the light, they actually scatter the light. That means they spread the light in all possible directions. The light won't fall on this one only. So if it is a spoon like this, if it is a spoon is there, so light is falling on this and reflecting because it is a size is bigger. But if you see a very small dot shaped structure, a very small, lesser than dot also, in that case what happens, instead of only reflection, the light will travel in all possible directions. So it is just like a blast of a balloon filled with water. A balloon is filled with water, and if you throw it on a wall, what will happen? What will happen? Balloon which is filled with the water, and if it is, if
Yeah,
you
will
made
blast.
to,
It will blast.
it will blast. So, and blasting the water will move in one direction or many directions?
Many directions.
Many
It will go
directions.
in many directions. Okay, the same thing happen when the particle size is very, very small. So instead of passing the light, obstructing the light and making it in a one direction, it will spread the light. And due to that, the light will now travel in all possible directions. And that's the reason we are able to see that path of the light. So this property of a light is called scattering of light. The bigger objects reflect the light, but the smaller particles scatter the light. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
But that particle sizes again has to be considered. If the particle size is bigger enough, in that small of the particle sizes also we have to check out. The particle size is very, very, very small. Then it is not possible for the, it will obstruct the light energy and spread it. It won't happen. If the size of the particle is too small, that is the solution size. Solution particles are lesser than 1 nanometer. So in such cases, that size particle is not sufficient enough to obstruct the light and scatter the light. Passing it into the different directions is not possible for the solution particles because the solution particles are very, very small. They don't have that much energy to stop the light, sunlight, and then spread it in all directions is not possible. So just like if you throw a balloon over a small rod only, very small thin rod is there. So is it possible that is that rod can stop the balloon? A pen is there. If it is a pen like this and you this will throw a balloon to this one, is it possible that this balloon will break? Blast?
No, ma'am.
No. This is literally what will happen. The pen will fall down. Balloon, nothing will happen to the balloon. Okay, so that is only happening in case of the smaller size particles. Now to obstruct the light and spread it, then pass it in all possible direction, what is needed? Somewhat bigger sized particles are needed. So therefore, the suspensions whose particle size is much bigger enough, they can do that function. So they can stop the light and spread it in all possible direction. Then that all possible direction, if we are standing somewhere, so that light is now falling on our eyes and we are able to see the path of the light. And that's the reason dust particles are also visible in through that slit of the room. Dust particles are seen to you. So when the light enters through the slit of the window, the dust particles visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes.
dust particles are bigger enough, our eyes can catch them. But other particles are there which are doing the same function. Those are not visible to us because our eye is not that much capable. So therefore dust particles we are able to see. That's the reason the path of the light is visible to us. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
scattering, Tyndall effect, the actual phenomena behind the Tyndall effect is the scattering of a light. Is the scattering clear to you?
Ma'am,
Is the scattering of the light, is that clear to you?
ma'am, I have one doubt.
Yes.
Ma'am, the light is passed through the solution, but in between the solution, we are not able to see the
We
light.
are not able to see. Light is passing through it, but we are not able to see it. Just now through the air, the light is passing. Are you able to see the beam of light?
No.
No, we are not able to see. Because
How can we not see it? Like it is passing.
it is passing. Are you able to see that?
No.
The path of the light is visible to you. or not?
No, ma'am.
No, because the particles are not scattering the light.
Okay.
Because the particles of the air molecules are very, very small, they are not able to scatter. But in certain cases, another cases, they are scattering. The other possibilities are there, they are able to scatter.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So here the molecular, now bigger object, reflection is taking place, but the smaller particles, the scattering is possible. And that is also depends on the size of the scatterer. So if it is a point size, these are all particles only. The scattering will take place through small particles. But in that also division is there. Very small particles cannot scatter the light. That is a solution particles, solid of the solutions. The particles of these solutions are not able to scatter the light because the size of the scatterer particle, that is a solid particle, is very, very, very small. So they are not able to obstruct the light and spread them again back. Is it clear? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So therefore
Yes.
the
Yes,
path
ma'am.
of the light, is not visible to us through solution because the solute particles of the solutions are very small. They cannot scatter the beam of light. But in case of the other types of mixture, that is colloids and suspensions, the particle size is big enough for which are able to scatter the beam of light, due to which the scattered light falls on our eyes and we are able to see the path of the light. It's clear? And therefore, that's the reason you have seen here, that is a path of the light is visible through remaining two solutions. This one, the first one is a solution through which the path of the light is not visible because the size of the particle is very, very small. But in the second case, the particle size is somewhat bigger than the solutions, and therefore they are able to scatter the beam of light. And the third one is much bigger enough, so they will scatter the beam of light more efficiently. So more number of lights get scattered away, they move away. So therefore we are able to see the brighter image, brighter light we are able to see through this. Here very less number of particles are there which are able to scatter. So they are scattering, but most of the rays are not get scattered. Now all the rays cannot get scattered. So therefore we see it's not that much prominent. This is much more brighter because the particle size is much sufficient to scatter the beam of light. So more number of rays get scattered and more number of rays are falling on our eyes, and that's the reason we are able to see the brighter object, brighter light. Is it clear?
Ma'am, in this, the first one is the solution, second is
Yes.
colloid, and third is suspension.
That's right. Now this is a small size particle. Scattering happens when light falls on it. Instead of it cannot pass it, it is obstructing that light and passing it, spreading it in all possible direction. So wherever we are standing, we are able to see that object. Here, now here it is passing, the solutions, what happened? The light is passing straight. So it does not get scattered. So it will pass straight only. So here when we are standing at this position, that light is not falling on our eyes. So therefore that path is not visible to us. In this case, light is traveling straight. Here the particles are not scattering the light. They are not sending the light in all possible directions. So here the light is not reaching. So we are at this position. When we are standing in this direction, the light is not reaching us. So therefore we are not able to see that path of the light. But in this case, what happened? The particle size is big enough. So the light is first stopped and then passed in possible direction. So some of the rays can reach us. We are standing here. So some of the rays are reaching us. So that's the reason we are able to see that path. Here, most of the light gets scattered away. So many particles are there. All of them are scattering the light. So from the same place, many rays are reaching us. So that's the reason we can see that's complete bright light, because more rays will reach. Here 2 to 3 rays are reaching, so therefore we are able to see the not prominent. Here millions of rays are reaching us because all the particles are scattering the light. Here very few particles are scattering the light. Is it clear? Tyndall effect means scattering means.
Yes, ma'am.
And one more property, it is not written here. The solutions are transparent. Solutions are transparent, that means they are easily visible. Anything, they are see-through. They are see-through. That means the anything present on the other side of the solutions we are able to see. So that means they are transparent in nature. It's clear? Are this point clear to you? All the parts of solutions are clear to you? Then write it down. Then write the characteristics.
Done, ma'am.
Completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
last.
last point.
Okay, fine. Write it down. Yash.
Done, ma'am.
Just a minute.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, yesterday you told that you would send that worksheet of
Yeah,
maths.
that's what I'm checking just now. That is only I'm working on.
Okay, I thought I did not receive it.
No. I will send it in a WhatsApp.
Okay, ma'am.
That's what I'm working. Actually, I need to separate that from the other chapters. That's what I couldn't get time. What you are able to see?
Black. I'm only a black.
Black screen only.
Black.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then types of solutions, examples of solutions depending on the solute, solvent, and the resulting solution. Here, the examples of solutions. According to the what is solute, in which state the solute is present and which state solvent is present, we can see. If the gas is dissolved, here dissolution. In a solution, formation of the solid is done by dissolution. So gas is dissolved into gas. The resulting solution will be gas. That means oxygen and other gases has been dissolved into nitrogen. It will form the air as an example. In a air, different gases has been mixed together. What is the larger percentage? Nitrogen. So that means we can consider that is a all other gases has been mixed into nitrogen. So that is air is an example where the solute is also gas and the solvent is also gas, and the resulting solution is a gaseous state. Now, if the gas is dissolved into liquid, then the resulting solution will be liquid in state, that is soda water or aerated drinks, or you can write the example of aerated drinks in which carbon dioxide is dissolved into water. That is soda water, which is an example of gas dissolved into liquid. When gas is dissolved into solid, the resulting mixture is solid. That is the hydrogen gas is palladium. Palladium is one of the solid substance in which hydrogen gases remain mixed. So that is the gas into solid mixture is there. Then liquid is dissolved into liquid. The resulting solid mixture is a liquid in nature, and that is a vinegar is example. Acetic acid is a liquid. It is dissolved into water. It will form vinegar. So vinegar is a liquid into liquid mixture, liquid into liquid solution. If the solid is dissolved into liquid, that is salt and water, sugar and water, then the resulting mixture is a liquid in state, that is common salt, NaCl, means it is a common salt in water, or sugar in water are the examples. And when solid is dissolved into solid, the resulting mixture will be solid in nature, and those are all alloys are the examples of this solid into solid solutions.
Gold is alloy.
Yes, gold is alloy. 22 karat gold, 18 karat golds are alloys, not 24 karat. Your K is written, no, 14 karat gold.
Carat is major, no?
Yeah, it's a measure of the impurities. 22 karat gold. The jewelry is made from 22 karat gold. So what is it? It won't have the full pure gold. It is gold is alloyed with copper. Some amount of copper is present. So 22 parts of gold is present and 2 parts of copper is present, and that should be done to give its hardness. So the 24 karat gold, which is 100% pure gold, will not be a stronger, harder. It is very soft. You can easily crush it.
Okay.
Bend it, not crushing it. It's you can bend it easily. If the jewelry is made of that, immediately it will get D-shaped. So therefore, pure alloy is a pure gold cannot be used for making jewelry. We use 22 karat gold. Most prominently used is the 22 karat one. Okay, so that 22 karat gold, 14 karat golds are alloys, and those alloys are solid into solid solutions. So remember, now onwards, solution means what? It is not always a liquid state. It can be gaseous state, it can be solid state also. It's clear? Is this clear? Examples? Are these example clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Write it down. Write down.
Ma'am, what is palladium?
Palladium is one of the element, solid element. It's metal.
Ma'am, NaCl is sugar.
Salt, common salt.
Yes.
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay. Then next, the types of solutions. That is
Just
one.
can you scroll up the uh, vinegar point ability? Done, ma'am.
So next is unsaturated
Ma'am, last,
solutions.
ma'am, last two examples. Yes, ma'am.
Then next is solutions are further divided into saturated, unsaturated, and supersaturated solutions. Now, what do you mean by saturated, unsaturated, and supersaturated solutions? Saturated, saturation has reached. That means when we dissolve solute into a solvent. Now it is possible that is when we dissolve, suppose example, take a water and sugar example if we take. In a 1 glass full of water, if you dissolve 2 spoons of sugar, further can you add 1 more spoon of sugar? Is it possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Then that solution is called as unsaturated. That means it has not reached saturation. Saturation means a limit, crossing a limit. It's a limit reaching. So what is the limit here? The dissolution. So that means how much space is there? That much space should be occupied. If it is not occupied, that means a further dissolution is possible. So such solutions we call as unsaturated solutions. Okay. Now, if you add 10 spoons of sugar into it, and after that, till that 10 spoons of sugar, the sugar get dissolved. Further, when you add 11 spoon, now it is not possible to get dissolved. Because why it won't get dissolved?
Because it has crossed its limit.
What was the limit? That is the space. Space between the water particles has already finished. There are no spaces between the water particles to accommodate sugar particles. So that means that it has a space till addition of 10 spoon of sugar. Further, dissolution is not possible because space is not left out now. So such solution in which no more further solute is dissolved, then that is called as saturated solution. Is that clear? Saturated and unsaturated means?
Yes, ma'am.
It is a similar case that is in your classroom, there are the 40 benches are there and 40 students are there. So in that case, further addition of a student is possible?
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am.
because there is no seat to sit. So that means the class has reached the saturation. And if there is a benches, 40 benches were there and 30 students are there. So is it possible to add few more students?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Then that means that condition is an unsaturated one. So in terms of solute and solvent solution, if further dissolution of solute is possible in any solution, then that type of a solution we call as unsaturated. It has not reached saturation. And the second one, maximum capacity of solute has been already dissolved. No more further dissolution is possible. Such solutions are called as saturated solutions. Clear? Is this
Yes,
clear?
ma'am.
Okay. Now the third case is what is supersaturated means. Now I still want to dissolve more amount of sugar in a water. So what I will do? What you will do?
Can I?
Yes, Vedam?
We'll heat it.
We will heat it. So due to heating, what happened?
The space increases.
The water particles move apart from each other and the space increases. And due to more increment of a space, now water will provide more space for the sugar particles and further sugar get dissolved into it. So such solutions are called as supersaturated solution. Give me a second. Someone is there. Okay. Yeah, I came back. So supersaturated solution means saturated solution can be converted into unsaturated once again by increasing the space between the solvent, that is by heating process. When we heat a saturated solution, space between the particles again increases, and due to which more accommodation of the solute is possible. More dissolution of the solute is possible. So the such solution in which more than a solute is present, more than a limit, such solution we call as supersaturated solution.
So all saturated solutions will be hot.
Yeah, at a higher temperature they have been created.
Okay.
They are created at higher temperature, and when you cool it down, what will happen? Now in that case, again the sugar will come out. Sugar particle starts coming out of the solution, and we will see the thickness. You have seen the sugar syrups at home. We prepare sugar syrups, or in case of gulab jamun syrup. So that is supersaturated one. So when it is this one hot, at that time the consistency is very thin, means it is a flowy consistency. But as soon as you this one cool it down, what happens? It become thicker.
Some crystals stick to the vessel.
Crystal also sticks to that one. So that is what crystals? The sugar, the extra sugar, what is we have tried to dissolve, it will start coming out of the solution. So they will settle down at that time. Because now when the cooling takes place, the water particles comes to their original position. So the space between the water particles decreases, and due to which extra sugar, what we tried to dissolve, that will start settling down. It's coming out of the water particles. So that's the reason that consistency increases, that is the thickness increases. Now that's a gulab jamun mixture, that's liquid, will become more and more thicker. But as soon as again if you heat it, what will happen? Again it will become like watery, more thinner. It will not be as thick as it was earlier. It's clear? Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Saturated, unsaturated, supersaturated are clear to you? So write down the definitions. Unsaturated, the type of solution in which further dissolution of solute is possible. Saturated one, the type of solution in which further dissolution of solute is not possible. And the supersaturated, on heating the saturated solution, more solute is dissolved. Such solution is called supersaturated solution. And the saturated solution can be made unsaturated by heating it.
Then, ma'am, should we write also the solubility?
No, solubility I need to explain you.
Okay.
Everyone completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now after dissolving, what is solubility now? Solubility of a solution means there's a one definition is given, and then after that we have to find the concentration of solution. Now what do you mean by solubility? Solubility of a solution means the maximum amount of solute present in any solvent which makes it saturated. To make any solution saturated, how much amount of solute is dissolved in the solvent, that is called a solubility. Solubility means it is, suppose just now I told you example in a sugar water, that 100 ml of a water, if you add 60 grams of 100 grams of a water, if 60 grams of, after adding 60 grams of sugar, if the this one, that solution has become saturated, further dissolution is not possible, then the 60 gram of a solution in 100 gram of solvent is called a solubility. 60 gram is the solubility of sugar solution, because that is a sugar solution. So 60 gram is a sugar solution solubility in 100 gram of water. So solubility means the amount of solute present in a saturated solution is called solubility of a solution. So that is maximum amount of solute present in a saturated solution. That is called solubility. So different solubilities are there, different salts get dissolved into different solvents at different value. So the salt present in water, suppose 60 gram of salt makes the water saturated, but the same 60 gram of water, if you dissolve into any other solvent, then it may has converted into super saturated solution. So in that another solution only, suppose honey, if you want to try to, it won't happen, sugar dissolves into honey. I don't think so. No, not possible. Any other solution, if you want to try to dissolve sugar, so it might not be 60 gram. It will be sometimes lesser than the 60 gram possibility. So that is in any solution. In a water, different salts has been divided, dissolved. So different salts' solubility is different. So sodium chloride, that is a common salt, may dissolve 60 gram at a particular temperature. Maybe the potassium chloride is another salt which may dissolve 35 gram also only. Maybe sodium sulfate is, sodium carbonate is present. So sodium carbonate get dissolved into water, and to make it saturated, it needs only 50 gram. So 50 gram is a solubility. So different solutes can dissolve in a same solvent at different amount. It will not be same always, because their sizes are different. Their size is not same. So therefore, due to difference in sizes, the different amount of solute can be dissolved into a one particular solvent. So that is called solubility. And this solubility will increase with increase in temperature. If you increase the temperature, if you take the cool water and the hot water, the amount of common salt dissolved in a cold water and amount of sodium chloride or sugar dissolved into hot water is completely different. At hot water, we can dissolve more amount of sugar, and in cold water, we can dissolve less amount of sugar. So that is called as solubility. And that solubility depends on the temperature. Different temperatures, different solubilities are there. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, we calculate solubility for the solvent, not for the solute.
How much solute? Yeah, for the solvent, how much solute is present. So that is a for solute only we call. Which solute is dissolved into which solvent at what value?
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, so the question will be like, what is the solubility of water?
No, they won't ask any solubility. They will ask you definition. Once I will question, I will tell you. Is there NCERT textbook? Is there NCERT textbook? Download it? No.
Ma'am, should we write this?
Solubility definition, you can write down.
Okay, ma'am.
Once solubility definition write down, then I will show you the question. Completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Now here you can see the solubility chart. One question is given. So here Pragya tested the solubility of actually four different substances at different temperatures and collected the data as given below. So this is a solubility chart of different salts. These are four salts: potassium nitrate, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, and ammonium chloride. These are the four salts at different temperature: 283, 293, 313, 333, and 353. At these temperatures, the solubility is found out in 100 gram of water. So in 100 gram of water, potassium nitrate is dissolved. At this temperature, how much is enough to make it saturated? That is written here. That means here potassium nitrate, when 21 gram of potassium nitrate is dissolved into 100 gram at 283 Kelvin, the solution will become saturated. Now this, as the temperature increases, you can see here potassium nitrate, more and more potassium nitrate get dissolved. So here also 36 gram of sodium chloride is dissolved in 100 gram of water. It will make it is a room temperature. This is a room temperature. At that time 36 gram of sodium chloride is enough to make the water saturated. At 393, at 313 it remains same, and at 333 and 353 Kelvin somewhat changes there. A little change, 1 gram extra can be dissolved. Potassium chloride also, at room temperature, 35 gram of potassium chloride is enough to make it saturated, to make the water saturated. 35 gram at 293, it remains same. When the temperature increases, 313 somewhat increment, and it goes on increasing with the temperature increases. Same thing with ammonium chloride. So its solubilities are different. So different salts dissolve in the same solvent differently. That is only this chart explains. And then the question on that we have to take it, but when we learn the concentration. Okay. Is this clear now? What do you mean by solubility? Is this clear? So this is only chart. You have to read it and write the answers of the questions. You're not doing anything else. What?
This chart is correct.
This chart is, yes, is correct one. Don't write it down. It's not needed to write down. So from the solubility, you have to find the concentration. So concentration part we will take tomorrow because there are some numericals also. So we will learn it tomorrow, next class. So we will stop today. Any doubts you have till this part? Any of the part in this part? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No doubts? Everything clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Then start
Yes,
reading the
ma'am.
chapter also. NCRT you have?
Yes, ma'am.
Start reading NCRT.
Okay, ma'am.
And test when I told Saturday, no? Saturday or Friday?
Saturday.
Saturday.
Cell chapter test, right? Cell objective.
Ma'am,
Yes?
ma'am, the figure which you showed laser beam.
Which figure?
Showed one laser beam.
Laser one. Okay, yeah, this
Yes,
one.
ma'am, this one. Ma'am, is this beam is passed through the bottle?
Bottles are glass is a homogeneous mixtures. And these are transparent, so light can pass through it.
Okay.
So through the light we can't see anything.
And that last solution is what?
Suspension.
Ma'am,
So we'll study colloids and suspension. We have to study further.
ma'am, you told that glass is a homogeneous substance.
Yeah,
Means it is a solution.
it is a solution. Yes.
Ma'am, so how can we see the light through glass?
Light is passing through the glass, no?
So if you take solid glass cube, we can't see the light inside.
Inside that one, we can't see.
Okay. Okay.
It can pass through and then falls on our eyes. So when you are standing in front of the glass, the light is reaching to you because the light is passing through the glass.
Okay.
But the inside the glass, we are not able to see.
Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, Saturday's test